Gail of Gaia and Free Range need your support. The foundation of any channel engaged in disclosure is the support of the listening audience and the intel it receives. You will not find this kind of information on the lamestream media. We abhor censorship, and sponsors always have an agenda. Your donations, no matter how small, are especially needed and appreciated to keep this going. Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, and we're here to graze on wild ideas with Drake Bailey. How you doing, Drake?
I'm doing fine. I'm just having a good time harassing politicians and other miscreants.
Those professional liars, right?
Well, that's the largest liars club in the world. They tell you anything to get elected, and once they get elected, they do what they want.
Isn't that the truth? And a large number of them are attorneys too, and I thought there was some amendment many years ago that was
Yeah, it's called the 13th Amendment.
That's what I thought.
And everybody's trying to, there is a group of people that I have casually associated with who are in the process of putting that in as the 13th Amendment, period. No vote necessary. It was already ratified back in the day. So that makes our present 13th the 14th, and it goes from there. So,
wow, that's really fascinating too, because look at how many of them are, and how, that's another group of professional liars.
well, that's what an attorney is to do. Two things, okay? One is to correctly defend their client in such a manner that the court will absolve the client, if it's a defense attorney, absolve the client of any misdeeds or wrongdoing. Then the interesting part of that is that you hear a huge load, a large number of different business entities that pay a fine but do not admit any wrongdoing. Oh, they're trying to sidestep, get their butts out of the line of fire on legal matters with that little fun and games.
Yeah, those whole legal matters, that's a whole thing that has to be revamped because of codes and statutes not really applying to...
No. You go back to the original unamended statute and apply it. That's what, this is a part of the restoration. Everybody's looking at restored republic and all that happy stuff. These people don't have a clue. Why? Well, they're not objecting to violations of civil rights. They're not objecting to violations of their constitutional rights. Right now, the state of California, most of the government officials in that state can be put in jail right now today. Specifically, the Los Angeles Council. They just said that the National Rifle Association was a terrorist organization. Well, the terrorist organization are the people that want to take the liberties that what little we do have left of them here in this country and subjugate it with some kind of socialist agenda. Now, those are the terrorists.
Yes, I would agree. And then the other thing that we have an issue with as far as the courts are concerned is all the attorneys, including they're all officers of the court. So how does the man and woman fit in there? They really don't. The person does, but we are not persons either. So that's a whole nother ball of wax.
No, it's part of the same problem. What you do is, and this is really fun, when you get into a sticky situation, never put yourself out front to take the heat. Always put the law out front to take the heat. And the fun part, this is beautiful. You can hold the judge a prosecutor, and anybody that services the court to include the clerk of the court as defendants. Ooh.
Yeah, they need to become defendants because
But nobody's got the guts. And then again, you'd have to have a small army backing you up to make sure that it is handled correctly. Plus,
that's the problem.
You can't put them in normal jail because the sheriff or whomever it is at jail that you put them in. You just go and turn around and say, "Oh, we're sorry. Oh, here you go, man. Let's go. You're loose. You're free."
Yeah, there's collusion between the three: the law enforcement, the courts, and the attorneys against people.
A lot of people are not aware of. A lot of law enforcement people are going to jail for doing that sort of thing and losing their office, being blacklisted. Now, when you get blacklisted as law enforcement or as part of an adjudication system, it's permanent. It's like, your life sentence. Well, there you go. You cannot serve anywhere at all, period, in any capacity, dealing directly with the administration of the law in the case of the court. In the case of the law enforcement officer, they can never hold a badge. They can't even get to be dog catcher.
Well, good. They've been very hard on many people, and it's time for it to turn around the other way. But people have to back each other up too. That's another problem I see. Is people need to stand together more than they do.
Yep, exactly. The best example of people being fragmented, and they'll say they're not, but the problem is that they are, and that's the black community. They get screwed with and squatted on continually, and I don't see any federal court cases saying, "Hey, this turkey butt is a miscreant in terms of my constitutional rights, and I want justice." And you got to continually push. If a court rule decides they're going to play games and throw the case out, file the judge as one of the defendants. Ooh,
that's what needs to happen. These guys need to get prosecuted.
Exactly. And if you're going to intentionally administer the law, by whatever ruling, then the problem is that they violate their oath of office and can no longer hold that office from that point on. They can also never hold another legal administrative position, irrespective as to what it might be.
Are the U.S. Marshals capable of handling some of these court matters?
Some are, some aren't. An FBI agent, in conjunction with a federal marshal, killed Finnegan. So, when you got people shooting people for no reason, one video, the guy got fired and he also got charged with manslaughter. The cop did. This guy's running away from him. Ain't got no gun in that.
Give me a break.
Well, some of the things that people do when they get excited are really stupid. This is why people need to practice proactivity instead of reactivity. You don't get the knee-jerk kill the guy. What you get is, well, we got his car. We know who he is and where he lives. We'll stake the sucker out and capture him. No big deal. 9 times out of 10, in a capture situation like that, the cops don't even need to pull their guns usually. There's one cop.
They're far too quick to shoot and ask questions later.
Well, I like that in some cases, okay? And it don't matter if it's a cop or a citizen or what. There have been several incidents where, in one case in Texas, this guy was walking along the wall to the mall with an AK-47. And this guy, a citizen who happened to be carrying a gun, said, put his hand on his gun and said, What do you think you're doing? And the guy just started to raise a weapon. As soon as he did, the guy drew and fired. Bang, bang, bang. Dropped him. He was praised by law enforcement, okay? The same sort of situation took place in schools, or, oh, you can't carry a gun-free zone. Well, whoopity-doo. You got to get compliance. So one manner of compliance, there's three ways to do this, okay? First, everybody needs to inform on when they find somebody's going to do something like that, or they say they are. Okay, and then secondly, to go along with that same information, you have to have social media reporting this to, hey, this guy's saying some nasty stuff. Maybe you might want to check him out. Okay, then you have the responsibility goes to law enforcement. If for any reason they do not protect the people or do their job in terms of law enforcement, they lose their badge. Go flip burgers at Mickey D's or something. We don't need you in the capacity if you're not going to do the job. There was one guy who was a sheriff, part of the sheriff's department, at one of the mass shootings who refused to go inside and address the issue. He's no longer a cop. Plus, he's looking at 2 to 10. Dereliction of duty. Well, dereliction of duty can be anything from writing funny traffic tickets, which is actually minor, to the point of costing people their lives because they refuse to go in there with a gun and address the dink that's shooting at everybody, okay? Then the third part of this is social media and the government need to get together. And by getting together, what I'm talking about is that you have a variety of websites. They're talking about removing them all. I say leave them alone. Don't take the KKK offline. Leave them alone there. Why? Well, because of several things. One, you can get facial identification or however you want to do it of the individuals involved. Okay. Number two, and this is the biggie, 9 times out of 10, there's very few that do not post something on that social media that they're a part of or within a group, whether it's 8-channel or, whom it may be, that they say, hey, I'm locked and loaded and I'm going to the mall. Then you got real squirrely situations that show a lot of stupidity on the part of law enforcement, where a guy tried to pull a traffic stop on somebody, and the guy killed 2 cops and then drove 10, 20 miles. This was in Texas, so one of the last shootings. And then drove 10 miles to the mall and killed a bunch of people. Well, maybe, just maybe, if somebody was paying attention, they might, hey, my buddy's lost his mind and he's locking and loading all his magazines and stuff and getting ready to take a fully automatic AK-47 down to the church and wipe everybody out. Hello? Okay. Law enforcement thinks it's funny to ignore that shit. Well, there's several things involved in that. First of all, they should check it out. It doesn't matter, if you spin your wheels and you're not really going to anything important, right? But somebody who makes a false report, ooh, that's like committing, that's like lying on an affidavit. Very similar. Okay, it's got a 2-year deal on it. Anyway, so where are we at? Well, we got a kind of a split in society. Some of the things that have been status quo, accepted manner of action and acting and things of this nature have gone out the window. I just want to hurt a bunch of people. And this is common among these mass shooters. I just want to hurt a bunch of people. Why? Because you're hurting? I mean, that would be the question I'd ask. And one of them got asked that. They said, I just don't care. Well, that comes under the auspices of being an experienced combat veteran. We kill people. We killed a bunch of them. I was in Vietnam in '68. And, you see somebody acting funny or doing something funny, 9 times out of 10, you would ask them, you try to ask them. And one of the means was to ask them to give up, chew hoy, or stop, don't lie, or whatever it may be. And when a person disregarded that at that point, because you were in a national police action area, better known as a combat zone, you had the right to blow them away. And when you do that a few times, then people start paying attention to your commands. Hey, you, come here. And if they don't, people were blowing them away. But what I found was that it works better if you shoot them in a place that they don't want to get shot in, that they will remember you the rest of their life. Like the certain, pick a cheek in the posterior as an example. The hamstring are very, very sensitive to bullets. Shoot them in the hamstring and they're going to limp the rest of their life. And it's going to hurt every time the weather gets cold. Well, this and that and the other thing. If a person gives up or surrenders, then they need to be put in a psychiatric ward and a psychiatric ward in a hospital that can address these sorts of things. They want to know everything about you. Talk. And if and a lot of people think they're going to gain their 5 minutes of fame. I'll be internationally famous. All I got to do is kill everybody in the church or whatever it is. And one of the things that media has screwed up on it is to give these people more audience than their value indicates they should get. This is one of the big things right now. But it just, it goes on and on. The answer, quite honestly, is to flag these people so they cannot make a legal purchase of a gun. It's simply, not the red flag law where they're coming to get your guns. Forget that. That's horse hockey. Just flag that person so they can't buy any weapons anywhere. Okay, got a national registry, and they check it when you apply to buy a firearm. You apply to buy the firearm, and they go cluck now. Nope, you can't buy a weapon in a retail store anywhere. This is slowly beginning to be applied to gun shows and places where a lot of people exchange arms. Here's the problem: you can go down on the street, on the corner, if you got cash. The right amount of cash, and just buy just about anything you want. Machine guns, body armor, anything hand grenades, all of it. So we have to do a couple of things to address that. First of all, you follow that turkey around. When it shows up going to a gun show, you need to have some people in there watching. Or notify some people that are there to keep an eye on the dog. He's a little bit rabid and he might bite, and we don't want that. Okay, that's one part of it. The other part is to be sure that we have a complete file, and by a complete file, I mean a picture. And it don't have to be one of those pictures you see on TV of where they put you in jail. Not that kind of just a picture like you're seeing me right now or yourself. You need to have the description, preferably pictures, license plate numbers and things like that of whatever vehicle that person may have access to. In this case, when somebody pops up while the guy's en route to go blow everybody away, somebody pops up and says, "Hey, man, this guy was talking about killing everybody. You better catch him." Where was he headed? I think he said he was going northeast. And bingo, you put out a BOLA, be on the lookout for. And every one of your law enforcement agencies then transmits that to all of their officers. Somebody out there is apt to see them. Okay. 90%, 90 or maybe even 100% of them could be stopped in that manner from doing anything further.
What about the ones that are MK Ultra? Or one of the interesting things about many of the mass shootings in the past were that they were all on psychiatric drugs.
Well, they may not have to be on psychiatric drugs at the time that they're doing this stuff. They may have already been through that. That's what the MK Ultra was. It would take some normal person, like say yourself or me, and infuse them with enough mind and attitude altering drugs as possible, and then create the situations up close and personal to cause those people to act out. You know, they grab a gun and it's loaded with blanks, but he puts it on rock and roll. And, okay, we got him. He's ready. Now, take him out there. And the thing about it is a lot of these people were under, had controllers or handlers. And some broke away from it all. I know several that have supposedly broken away from it all. The other part of it simply deals with when you have a Manchurian candidate, you don't have a person. You have a machine. Unplug it permanently. That takes a bullet right here, or more than one sometimes. I found one guy had a really hard skull in Vietnam. I shot him 4 times before he finally went down in the forehead, where it disconnects your capability of standing up and whatnot. 4 times. M16, 4 times. About
He had a metal plate in his head.
about 100 feet, something like that. I would have thought the first one would have put him down because it went through his head.
Maybe he wasn't human.
Well, no, I didn't thought he was perfectly human over in Vietnam. What they did instead of the MK Ultra shit, they got a pretty good load of heroin and juiced everybody up to where they didn't. You could, unless you cut them in half or decapitated, took their head off, they didn't feel that. They'd put their hand over the wound to keep her heart from pumping all the stuff out while they're shooting with the other hand. I've seen that several times. I mean, it's really freaky, believe me.
It's no wonder ETs think we're...
Yeah, they want to look at that mess they got, and they want us to fix it. Well, you're out of your mind, you know.
Oh my God. By the way, do you have any galactic updates for you while we brought that up?
Yeah, ET is kind of sitting back. They got everything prepped and ready to go. They're waiting on us to catch up with the program. We should be having it done, I'm going to suggest, by the end of this month, middle of next. There's going to be a whole bunch of really freaky things on our part that we do.
Well, who's going to be doing that?
Huh?
I don't mean specific names, but who's going to be doing that? How's that going to be accomplished?
Well, you have a bunch of nutcases like me that have guns and you know, don't act right anyway. And I'd just love to shoot somebody, certain people in the Watusi, just see how high they jump, let alone the fact that they desperately deserve it. But no, how would you handle that? Okay, you're going to have to go with the good guys. And the problem with some of these agencies is there are not as much of a population of good guys as everybody thinks. A lot of them just are plain neutral. They just don't get involved. They don't say nothing, that sort of crap. Okay, so you're going to have to involve a shitload of the volunteers, such as militias. And I'm not talking about regulated militias and all that dumb shit. I'm talking about the unregulated militias. That it can be anybody. The librarian could be a machine gunner, you know. Nice.
Well, speaking of militias, it's my understanding that there's a number of training camps where jihadists are being trained to, you know, prey upon the American public. So why aren't those being taken out by the militia? If or military or FBI or who's ever supposed to do that isn't doing it now.
the agencies want to arrest. We don't want to kill everybody. We just want to arrest. Well, there's a difference between regulation and non-regulation. The non-regulated can go in there and blow everybody away and make sure they don't leave any evidence as to who they were, and simply fade back into the woods, go get in the truck and go home. I have heard that there are about 15 or 20 places that are being reconned as we speak. That's been going on for about a week or two. What they intend to do, I have given my 2 cents, which is wait till they're practicing with their AK-47s in military formation and kill them all. Leave the AK-40, leave all that stuff lay there, and then some kind of anonymous tip happened from a payphone in the area, and we have no clue who it was, but man, you ought to see all these people, all these dead people. And then if they really check close, they find the armory, which has RPGs and all kind of fun little tools in it.
Because their intention is to harm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, the militia has plans, and they're trying to check it out and make sure they go about it correctly. But that was my suggestion, that they wait until they're practicing with the AK-47s, kill them all. And by that, I mean, don't let nobody get out, in an escape tunnel or any of that shit. Find those escape hatches and find out where they're going to come out at, and, throw a couple of hand grenades up in there. That'll stop that shit. It is what we have is a state of war in many ways. I showed you Judicial Watch. ISIS fighter affirms what JW exposed years ago. Terrorists enter U.S. via Mexico. Now, what they're doing, and this is the fun part of it, I'll read this little part. Let's see, where is it? Make sure walking bridge. Where is it? Maybe in the body of this, and I haven't really gone through this real heavy. Anyway, the ideology. 5 years after a Judicial Watch investigation uncovered evidence of Islamic terrorists infiltrating the U.S. through Mexico, a captured ISIS fighter is providing details of a plot which jihadists enter the country through the southern border to carry out an attack. That's one part of it. Here's the other part. The terrorists begin their journey in Central America and all this other happy stuff. They get up there, and what they do is they recon the area. They make a reconnaissance patrol to see which are the best targets, how you can create the most fun and games, and all that. Now, if it was me, and I was in charge, and that's probably one reason I'm not, I would offer that all Muslims got to go. I don't give a shit what you are. I don't care if you got a business. Pack it, tag it, and hit the road. Out of the country, period. There used to be a law to that effect.
Yeah, 1952, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the reason they brought that law up was simply because you've heard of the Crusades. I'm sure everybody's heard of the Crusades, convert Christian soldiers, and they're carrying swords and whatnot. They went after the Muslim pirates in the Mediterranean area. And I don't mean just a few. I'm talking somewhere around 1 million of them got slaughtered. Okay. We screwed up and did an open march, and they decimated that army pretty thoroughly. Sent one of us out and said, don't come back. Well, okay. We already killed 1 million of you. And then, and this is neat, the imams, the people in charge of the general ideologies, decided to use their specific guards as a cleansing force. They went through and took out all the rest of the, and I use this loosely, radicals, all the dinks that couldn't figure out how to grow corn and were attacking ships in the Mediterranean. I threw them in the Mediterranean until swim across. Go ahead. I mean, well, or
Well, isn't the Muslim religion, so to speak, it's not really a religion as much as it is a political agenda.
Pretty much. Anybody wants to know about that, read the translated Quran, and you'll find a whole bunch of stuff in there, okay? The differential between the Christian Bible and the Quran is simple. It says that you're supposed to shun people, and this is the Christian Bible now. You're supposed to shun people. You're not supposed to have anything to do with them. Eventually they leave, okay? And that is determined not by a fact of unbelief, but by their actions. In other words, they're trying to destroy the church, or trying to destroy the apostles, or whatever. That sort of thing generates that action, okay? Then you have the other part of that, which says that if they won't leave voluntarily, you're allowed to stone them. Hit them with rocks until they do hit the road. If they refuse to leave, you stone them to death. That fits. What the Quran says is that anybody who is not a Muslim is an infidel. People don't understand what infidel means. Infidel means literally a person who works against God. It don't matter what kind of religion or any of that, just works against God. Takes all the good things and destroys them. Be that little beheaded little babies, or, and this is interesting, what they call genital mutilation of women. Women are considered property, and the men can do as they please with them, among other things.
I don't know how any woman worth her salt could even be one, to quite honestly.
Well, that's a good question. We got the four horsemen of the apocalypse in the House of Representatives, and nobody's had the courage to ask them that question. So,
It's insane. Doesn't Japan have that rule? You can't be a Muslim in Japan either, can you?
No, they will kill you. Just that simple. You are one of the executable on site kind of deals. The thing that strikes me as funny is that all of a sudden, for whatever reason, liberality allowed the repeal of that 1950s law. That should not have ever happened, first of all. Secondly, if, and this is just an if the greater Muslim community wants to start a war with the United States, well, that's simple. Tell the Ayatollah to attack one of our American flagged tankers in the Straits of Hormuz. And I'll guarantee you're going to get a military action that you won't friggin' believe. Now, the ideology is not to engage civilians from a military standpoint. It depends on what actually transpires. There's a movie out, it's been out for years. Rules of Engagement is the name of it. And it shows on a videotape all of these people. And I'm talking about everybody from, say, 10, 12 years old up to grandpa. They got some kind of a gun and they're shooting at the U.S. Embassy. They're shooting at the Marines that are trying to guard it. Okay, funny, but the video disappeared. Ooh, the person that was responsible, who worked at within the State Department. Okay, hey, this is lovely. He got excommunicated from all government service and 2 years to do in jail. He didn't make it through. Oops. Well, it's like Epstein. He wasn't killed. A lot of people say he was. No. You don't notice a couple of things about these things. They have very tight controls on video in supermax prisons, specifically with somebody that needs to be watched. And there was no video
That's just a joke. I mean, come on. The guy's like,
No, it's not a joke.
And
It's not a joke. What we got was a heads up that they were coming to get him. Okay? I'd much rather have his testimony. He had a choice. He had a choice. You can either become our witness, or we'll let you we'll throw you to the lions. You'll find out how it felt to be a Christian in Rome back in the day, and they will eat you up alive. Well, Epstein said, "No, man, I'll be a witness." Okay, a lot of his stuff, and I'm talking about records and whatnot, were coded. You have to understand that the differential between coded and simple, wrote it down, is extraordinary. This man was not stupid by any means. He got a code expert to show him how to do this. And he coded it in such a manner that it was not necessarily unbreakable, but it'd take forever. We said, hey, simple, decode that, write it up, and we'll make sure you remain alive the rest of your days. Think about that. Now, he can't do what he used to do. You do any of that stuff, guess what gets cut off? Ooh, and it's a hit below the belt. And what they do is 1 inch. I want you to think about it, 1 inch at a time, 1 inch for each offense. That's going to get painful right quick. They do not use anesthetics. It's just a cold cut. And I heard that they use a, what do they call that? It's a special instrument that they use to cut bones and stuff.
I don't like the thought of that. But anyway.
Well, you can always look at the guy and say, well, I can see you screwed up. And what do you mean? You're not near the man you used to be. When we get to the point of actually enforcing things, you're going to have a lot of people go, really? And what do you mean by enforcement? I mean, letter of the law, period. Absolute letter of the law. When that happens, full enforcement of it, don't matter who, no matter how rich, don't matter government position or whatever. What the interesting part about it is, there are too many Democrats that are guilty. They don't want to get their tit in their ears. Consequently, they're against the, quote, law and order and enforcement and the things that Trump is trying to restore. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what do you want to do? You want to start questions or what?
Yeah, I just thought, okay, so there wasn't much of any kind of galactic update and anything geopolitical that...
Yeah, there's still a whole load of logistics going on where they're moving material and whatnot into place for the, what do they call that, pre-transition period of time. We will probably, before we transition, get to see mass landings. Everybody's going to go, oh, it's an invasion. Bullshit.
Yeah, that's not, yeah. So
Mother Teresa will not invade your backyard, however guilty or clean she might be. Nobody in their right mind wants to get themselves involved in the mess that humanity has created down here. ET is real reluctant to get involved, but they'll do it. So there you go.
Okay. So when it comes to the enforcement part, I guess I'm still a little confused as to who's actually going to do that. I mean, when are some of these big name people who have indictments out there that Barr is supposed to be indicting and so on and so forth, when's the public going to see something actually happen?
When? I'm not going to tell you. That would ruin the surprise.
Well, is it going to be this century or what?
We want them surprised and shocked and, oh my God, we want the fear that grips somebody when a man grabs hold of you, whether it's by the throat or whatever. We want that fear to cause them not to be able to squeal too loud. But the thing is that so I was told by the end of the year. Now, that could be a Merry Christmas. Think about Christmas Day and you're going, hey, we're here to take your shit away. Come with me, boy. You're in a heap of trouble now. Well, or whatever. however they work that.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Happy New Year. They take you, they wait until you're at the party. They collect everybody in a freaking party. The whole thing. Now, you're going to have names, and you're going to have a whole bunch of people that ain't names. First names that'll come out are the nobodies, because it doesn't mean nothing. Then all of a sudden, it's, oh, guess who else we caught? Wow. Now it goes from there.
What about the mass media? Is there ever going to be any kind of change as far as that?
They're going to have a choice. Either start reporting accurately or heave up your broadcast license. Now you tell CNN that, they're going to laugh. They're going to giggle until you're standing there serious as a heart attack with a gun on your person that they can see, and you tell them that you're not playing. Do you want to see all the guys that are waiting outside to come in and visit everybody, or do you want to understand that you have only one choice: be able to broadcast or not, tell the truth or give it up? Now I'm talking changing padlocks on the doors. Everybody right down to the janitor goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably turn the janitor loose after just a few minutes. But, there's, in terms of mass media, we already had an apology. I couldn't believe it. One of the people on, I think it was MSNBC, I'm not sure. I think it was either MSNBC or CNN, who apologized for putting out some shit that he shouldn't have talked about. And these are his words on air.
Don't they have to repeal that law that I think Obama passed, that propaganda is okay, or that it's okay to lie to the public? Isn't there some kind of law in the books that made them able to get away with some of this crap?
No. That can be rescinded. Excuse me. That can be rescinded real easily.
Yeah, because I thought there was something to that effect that was in.
There is, but it's not really valid. That's the problem.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's not valid.
That was one of those directive memos. Okay, it wasn't even an executive order as such. So, it's not really a law, but everybody would like to think it is. Yeah, they can lie to you, but you try to get away with lying to them. Well, guess what? One of the things in the Constitution stipulates something about the equal application of law to all parties. Whoops. And process and,
Okay.
What?
Let's see. Let's go to some of the questions. Now, I'm trying to sort out some of these because some of them are very similar and we've answered them before. So,
imagine that.
Notice that, yeah. But anyway, if we have, I guess it doesn't hurt to rehash something.
Okay, well, let me stipulate this. When somebody asks a question, the people out there in the audience, or people that are listening, or people that send stuff in, should take notes. That way they won't repeat the same friggin' thing over and over and over. That gets old.
And then a part of what happens too is a lot of these are things to confirm or deny something that's been said by someone else.
Uh-huh.
So
sometimes I'll do that, sometimes I won't. Depends on what's involved. Sometimes I have agreed not to do that.
Well, you can answer what you want to answer and not answer what you don't want to answer. Okay, how do you figure we won't need a government?
That's down the roadways, more or less in 5D. We won't need a government because it will be a council-oriented representative to the galactics, the people that run the galaxy, so to speak, the people that are in charge of it, the people that decide on, as we call it, legislation or that sort of thing. That's how that's going to work. We're not going to have the same kind of a government as we got now. Okay?
Okay. Do the Pleiadians have a King Plachat? Plachacha?
Who?
Plachacha. Have you heard of a king Plachacha who's king of some Pleiadians? I mean, there's so many different races of Pleiadians from what I understand.
There he is.
Have you ever heard of King Plachacha? Let me put it that way.
I haven't heard of that one.
You haven't?
Nope. So I'm ignorant on it. You have to, if that person will send in more detailed information and you feel like you want to get a hold of me, I'll see what I can do about answering it. Okay? Because I have Palladian friends that are kind of scattered in that area. And there's, I don't know, they differ considerably from one to the other.
Well, here's a question about that. Are the Pleiadians humans like us, or are they different somehow?
Well, I don't give humans a whole lot of credit for, I mean, all you got to do is look around and you see what I mean. In terms of human, nobody on this planet is human. That don't exist. Each and every last race, except one, and I'm not going to stipulate, are implants from elsewhere. A lot of Indian tribes and et cetera and whatever were imported. Okay, some of them got gathered up and exported before we could get to them and make any kind of records or anything. As far as human looking, a lot of the Palladians do look human, and that helps. You don't want some kind of squiddy-faced thingamabob. The only way it can communicate is wrap tentacles around your head. Now we can talk. I mean, well, how many people would freak out? What do you mean I got a French kiss? An octopus? What, are you out of your mind? Well, that idea, well, think about it. Or think about the amoebics. The amoebics, you know what an amoeba looks like.
Yeah.
Got the little hairs that swims around in drinking water, whether you want them in there or not. Well, think about a big one, 6 foot tall and sticky, slimy. It looks like somebody ran it through somebody's worst nightmare of a really snotty cold, right?
It seems like some of the
They leave wet prints when they walk around. They leave wet spots. From this stuff. Okay, yeah, and their big thing is a hug.
Ew.
Yeah, well, not too many people can handle
You get slimed when you get hugged, then, right?
Well, not really. I actually did a nasty thing to a friend of mine. I helped a race of amoebics, and they wanted to give me a big hug, and I thought, bullshit. So I got myself out of there. Well, who wants to hug Slimer?
No, I should.
How much fun is a French kiss when somebody sneezes all over you? I mean, there's some things I have limits. So I left. Guess what? He didn't hear him say that, and he got multiple hugs. Oh, he was mad at me for about a week.
Remember that? I can't find it right now. The name of that show that I sent you just before we started this show about this David Goldberg, I believe his name was, who was recently found dead, and he had put out information about 2 different psyops.
Yeah. I remember that. I knew about it. The reason the two programs were not the reason for his death, nor were the classified information that it divulged. What the problem was that certain elements, and I mean rogue elements, of certain government agencies were actually assisting with that shit. Okay, and they didn't want that known, and that was that was what he was going to do next. Said he had more. Well, that's what the more was, and it was more than somebody could handle. So the bad guys took him out.
That was a Project Pogo, maybe, or Project Ziffer.
Have you ever seen the comic strip Pogo? If not, get some of it and get some of it and check it out. The reason being is that it takes place in a swamp, and the idea of Pogo deals with a combination of that and a pogo stick. And if you can figure out how those two can be fit together so that they make a psyops routine, okay, fine. Zephyr is Zephyr is the last letter of the alphabet, and it is a what do they call it? An offshoot on a cipher. In other words, it gives a specific reason and manner of doing things that you don't find anywhere else. That was the importance of that particular operation. The third one and fourth one are really funky, and they're about to be exposed.
Okay, I suppose this is pretty relevant now too. Can you ask Drake about Hurricane Dorian?
What about it?
Weather modified machine, and if so, what was its purpose?
It's an artificial storm created by what they call portable HARP. As soon as I sunk about 4 or 5 boats that had that shit on there, it started moving again. Well, I tried to move it out to sea, and I found out that there's about another half dozen rather powerful HARP systems on boats that are preventing it from moving out to sea. Hurricanes or big storms, whether it's a hurricane or whatever, have a tendency to follow the warm water. The warm water, if you get a chart, you can look it up, shows the Gulf Stream going down and around. And as you would have Florida here, Gulf Stream comes down and around and flows up like this. And just before it gets to Hatteras and Carolinas, it goes out to sea. That thing is not moving out of the cold water like a normal one, and where it should go to the warm water at all. That means it's artificial because something is providing energy to sustain it. Okay? Isn't that wonderful that somebody would do that to all them people?
There isn't a way that they can target that or find that or determine where it's coming from so that they could take it out?
I have tried to elicit assistance from a whole bunch of different people, and so far I've come up with a big fat goose egg. These people believe that shit, and consequently, that's the same kind of false science that global warming is. You know, and all of it, you get a real heavy resistance and animosity from people I'd known for years, and so I kind of just let it alone. Now all I do is I make the thing short out, overheat, burns a hole in the bottom of the boat, and you're done with it. I did 5 yesterday or day before.
Wow.
A normal storm will not sit still.
I know, it's just sitting in one place now.
It just sit there. And everybody's going, how awesomely strange is that? We've never seen that before. Well, there you go.
It's because it's not real. Or it's artificially created.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are statements. Instead, the difference between a mall guard and a policeman is the name of the corporation he works for. Civilized word is problematic because civilization is anything but peaceful. Don't know who these came from.
Back in some of the ancient cultures, everybody was at peace with everybody. We didn't have a reason or need to go to war. It wasn't there. We were too busy trading beans and whatever.
Yeah, there's a. What about our jobs? Will you be paid? Will people be paid through that card system that you spoke of, or do you think that a stagnation will develop?
You talking about the cashless society?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there will be value put on that card.
Okay.
That's the manner to get a paycheck, so to speak.
People seem to think that if you don't have the incentive of making money, that nobody's going to want to work. And I'm saying, well, that's not true.
Well, there's several.
You're working right now. You're not getting paid for what you're doing, are you?
No.
Am I? No.
Everything I do comes out of my pocket.
but it's trying to do something. I mean, you're doing something because you think that it's the right thing to do, or
there's a bit of a difference here. You're talking about regular people that are working for that paycheck. Okay, what's the incentive? Well, the incentive is very simple. They're going to go through the masses, and I'm not sure exactly who yet. They haven't stipulated that part. You're going to go through the masses and determine who it is that has outperformed what was required, and those people are going to get more than what somebody who just wants to sit in a rocking chair on the porch.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of support, by the way, in the ET realms for somebody who wants to just sit there and get fat watching TV. They have a tendency to cause you, by whatever means necessary, get your butt up off the couch and go do something. If it is turning off your TV, they will turn it off.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, people don't feel like they have any purpose, or.
Well, that's the thing. You can integrate that ideology into a person. And there's a variety of ways to do that. One of them is to get their attention. If somebody decided they were all that, they didn't have to do anything, and you turn off all of their entertainment, whether it's TV or whatever, they're going to have a serious problem in terms of boredom right quick.
I'm surprised people don't get bored with that TV. I mean, I don't have one. Haven't had one for over 10 years.
Well, they said that,
just sits there.
well, they said that they say that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. You watch enough TV and your mind will turn to mush.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Now, you can be greatly entertained, but within limitation. Now, what the satellite companies, and I'm beginning to get pissed at mine, satellite companies and others are doing, they're charging rental fees to watch the decent movies. All the old 10-year-old has-been rerun crap that they're putting on is not something that is equitable in terms of the contract I have specifically with them. And they're going to find out the hard way if they keep it up. I will notify them and say, hey, what is your problem? Go from there and see what happens.
Okay, Drake, you spend a lot of time reinforcing the concept of might makes right. Would you please dedicate equal time to power versus authority? Please explain the distinction on your show.
Oh, the distinction between power and authority. Well, first of all, to have power, you have to have authority to use it. Number 3, 99% of this is garnered or gained in an old-fashioned way. You go through police academy and get trained and all that and get a badge, and then they put you out in the street, and the street educates you if you haven't already been on the street. In terms of authority and between the difference between enforcement and true enforcement is humongous. It's huge. True enforcement means that you don't need someone of authority with a gun there to make sure you act right. You have a little thing in here that you got when you was a kid, when you was born, called a conscience. Be reasonable. Everything's fine. Okay. Operate within what is stipulated by general society as acceptable. In other words, you don't go exposing yourself to little old ladies to see how loud they'll squeal. That's an example. Okay. You don't go shooting at people just because you got a gun. There's a whole bunch of limitations. However, none of the law enforcement means diddly squat unless the individual understands that they are responsible for their actions. Now, everybody's harping and jumping up and down about gun control. Okay, well, stick this in your pipe, and I want to see how it smells when you smoke it. Chicago has some of the most stringent laws on guns that there are, and it's Wild West all the time, but specifically on the weekends. shot 104 people and killed 20 some. That was Labor Day weekend where you're supposed to be having fun at the barbecue. Well, what the hell's wrong with leaving a gun at home or go ahead and carry it, but just don't use it. Go and eat some barbecue and enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself with other people. Now, somebody's stipulating something that is funky about you, such as something that you could consider being dissed about, is not a reason to pull a gun out and shoot them. They did not do you any real true harm. Best thing in the world you can do with some butt wipe like that is to return the favor. Now, if they pull a gun on you, you do have the right to pull yours and use it. Self-defense is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. The problem is that you have a bunch of people out there that run drug businesses, whorehouses, or whatever, that feel that shooting people is okay. That has to be changed. It has to be addressed in such a manner so that these people do not have that opportunity anymore or any longer. They don't get their guns legally. They're stolen, bought on a corner, and God knows where they came from or whatever. We need to find the sources and eliminate it. You eliminate the source of ammunition or guns in general, and then you got it by the whatever. But if that's not, and this is squarely, if that don't work, then they're going to take the butcher knife from the kitchen and go stabbing people. That's what they're having trouble with in England, and they're talking about.
I saw that. I go, oh my God, I can't believe this. What is wrong with people? They're going crazy.
Well, that's the problem. People don't care, and they want to inflict as much pain as they're feeling on everybody else, and that's why they do that shit. Pretty simple.
Says, then this goes on a little further. You can comment anywhere along the line here. Are we savages, might makes right, or are we civilized, accepting the rule of law, do no harm, the golden rule? And conspiracy against rights not enforced. Attorneys, judges, lawmakers are foreign agents serving a foreign corporation in the city of London. No one is fighting.
Hold on a minute. Only if they sign up as such. Okay.
So BAR stands for British
British Authorized Registry is for lawyers. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody who is under that is a foreign agent. Okay, and it's coming up soon that they're going to have to either come out of the bar totally, or be registered as a foreign agent, not allowed to practice law any longer. Ooh, now you think,
really? That's really going to happen? Because right now they're rather deceitful.
Do you realize the scope and size of what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's huge.
We're talking hundreds of millions of people. Okay. And attending to each one individually takes time. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. This goes on. I'm just reading what's written here. No one is fighting City Hall. They are fighting the bar or mafia in the banking law. No one has the money to take on that tiger. Sending someone to court is like telling them to piss into the wind.
Well, it depends on how big. It depends on how many hand grenades you throw in the door as to what kind of attention you get. Now. Might makes right. Well, there is a might of morality that is backed up by several different types of Christian heroes. You had some that went into the lion's den, and lions weren't interested. They come over like big kitty cats rubbing on its leg, wanting its ears scratched. Another one went in there and used the jawbone of the lion that he killed, okay, and killed 10,000. But he's a Christian hero, okay? The ideology is very simple. Walk softly, but carry a big stick. You do not randomly, openly, without forethought and planning, use that stick under any circumstances. In other words, this is why Iran has not been nuked by the United States. However, if and I don't think Iran's got the guts, if Iran's got any guts, and their illustrious leader has a pair, and he'd like some exercise, go take one American flagged tanker. Go ahead. I dare you. You are talking about having each and every last wharf or boat anchor point in any of your harbors sunk. All of your boats sunk. Okay, that includes those cutesies that run around on the motorboats and shoot AKs in the air. Those are easy to blow away. Okay, you launch an Air Force. We have within one flat top more capability than the whole of your Air Force. Better think about this very carefully before you start some stuff that you can't handle, all right? Now, what we've been trying to do, and this is the United States, President Trump and others, is to elicit support by all of our allies that they will come into the fold of running escorts. First time somebody screws up, within about a minute and a half, you can have the whole, a great portion of United States Air Force dropping bombs on you. And if that's what you want, go for it. I don't think you got the guts.
Okay, well, that kind of goes along the lines here further about what this particular person is getting at about the might makes right kind of thing, and saying that this rhetoric, might makes right over lawful actions, is why the government is corrupt. Government, courts, DOJ, CIA, FBI, police are corrupt because they use their power in violation of their authority with false arrest, false imprisonment, assault with a deadly weapon, ignorance of the law, deprivation of rights, not enforced.
That's a hell of a list, but here's the deal. What it boils down to, money, honey. That's it. Bought and paid for. Finest government money can buy. You ain't heard that one in a while. Well, there it is. And that's basically what Trump is rooting out. There have been people in the organizations that refuse to comply because they're getting too much money. Now, you want to get into the fun and games of it, I'm going to open a can of worms. There was a certain guy by the name of Chapo, little fat Mexican turkey that ran a cartel. Guess what? He, at the end of his testimony, and this stuff has been sealed, I want the list. He named about 25 or 30 people, high-level people, that he personally bribed to keep the border open and keep the drugs flowing.
Ooh, yeah.
I want the freaking list.
Yeah, that's...
I want to publish that sucker. I want to say, hey, look at this. And I would send a copy the first time I got hold of it before I publish it. There's going to be an Attorney General Barr get a list. He's going to get a copy of that sucker. And then I'm going to make it public so everybody can, hey, Barr, go get it. Come on, let's go.
The time has come.
Yeah.
Now we need not just talk, but we need action.
Let's take the laundry and put it on a spin cycle and see what pops out.
Okay. Oh, he went on to say about execution is legal. Okay. Cops shooting unarmed civilians reaching for their wallet is legal. Anything is legal because the government or law monopoly defines what is legal. None of these practices are lawful because the people engaging in these actions will suffer karmic consequences.
Okay.
I never hear you discuss these legal problems. Person equals slave. The 14th Amendment.
Okay. Hold up. He opened a can of, whoever that was opened a can of worms. I'm gonna make the cops eat it. All right? Think about this very carefully. You do not have to bow down before the authority of their gun under false pretenses. That's first. Second part of this is you have the legal right to resist equally. That's why cops are getting shot. They think it's funny on a traffic stop to come up there and pull something out and point it at your face. Liable to die over that.
It seems when they go to court, though, they'll hold up.
What do you mean go to court? It's hard to go to court when you're dead.
The court's right there. Okay, I get it. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
He said here that the 14th Amendment makes Americans slaves. What? I'm not sure.
It supposedly does, but it depends on how it's read. And you got to follow a couple of amendments to it. The 14th Amendment puts people under taxation. Now, there's some problems with that. Straight up labor is non-taxable. Think about this very carefully. Texas Freedom School. Go in, read, and learn. Look up a subject and find out about it. That's where you'll find that you don't have to have a driver's license, license plates, registration, or any of that. Now, I do recommend one thing. I live in the mountains. I recommend that you do get a vehicle check. Make sure your lights is working and your brakes is all right and that sort of thing before you go out there and maybe kill a whole bunch of people because you lost, your brakes give up or whatever. I agree with that part of it. Okay. Breaking it back. The legality of paying taxes is BS. First of all, it ain't required. Okay, and I'm talking about legally, it's not required. The reason I stipulate that is because the collection agency, known as the IRS, is a private corporation out of Puerto Rico. So they can go take a flying leap at a rolling donut, okay? Among other things, there are a whole bunch of FCC communication taxes that you'll see on your cable bill. It's illegal to do that. It is illegal. No, you do not have to spend $1 or 79 cents or whatever it is for 911 service. No. That's supposed to come through the tax system. And the tax system is supposed to support a whole bunch of things, and it ain't doing a very good job for several reasons. One, you got politicians that are going, how much can I get in here? Then you have the other part where the corporations themselves will add bogus stipulations in terms of charges and things that they cannot charge for if they are not doing what it stipulates that charge is supposed to deal with. Give you a good example. Communications. All right. Your electrical system. And you want to take it a step further? Water system. If, for any reason, these people stipulate that you're going to have a surcharge for fuel. They did that. They tried to play that game on electrical systems. If you have a landline, they're going to try to say that you have to pay an FCC tax. Only trouble is the tax doesn't exist, but they'll charge you for it, and they keep the $1.50 or whatever it is. Multiply that by millions of people. Now, you want to get the corruption out, you got to go to the source. In other words, you go on their door, and you got a gun in your hand, and there's 500 of you out there waiting for them to answer the friggin' door. You've already cut all their communication. Now, it's easy to put up a phone block, whether you cut the lines on a regular old landline or you take a couple of discarded satellite dishes and focus in on them, different angles, different places. They can't get communication. And when they find out it don't work, ooh. So there's a lot of different ways to put things together. You can scare the whatever out of somebody with a shoebox. I don't want you to really think about this. You need a roll of duct tape, a shoebox, a couple of chunks of, let's see, what would it be? Mop handles, say. About this big around. You paint those suckers red. Yeah, and you put them in the shoebox, and you take a Big Ben alarm clock, set it for 10 minutes before the alarm goes off, and this thing is anonymous. It doesn't have anything. You set it by the front door of a federal or local or state building. That's going to draw a lot of attention. That's going to clear out the building. They're thinking it's going to blow the whole place up. Oh my God, run. Uh-huh.
Well, those people, but somebody that does that, if they get caught doing that, they're going to arrest them and put them in jail.
What?
Hmm?
You just sit it down. You just walk by, sit it down, keep walking. 9 times out of 10, nobody notices or says anything. 9 times out of 10, well, I'd say it's more than that. It's probably more like 98 out of 100. Nobody notices. We are not keyed like some countries to look for those kind of problems. We don't think someone's going to blow up the restaurant or the outhouse or whatever, so we don't look for the bomb. Well, if you put a bomb, you put it down. There's a shoebox now. A shoebox should be, like so. And when they hear that sucker fish ticking, tick-tock, tick-tock, oh, geez. It's got some kind of timer in it. I wonder if I'm molested, it'll do anything. Well, you put a little stipulation. You can put a little note on top. This thing is an ear split and loud boomers, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, it has a tilt switch. It has a molest switch. Got a hole in the box. Boom. It would be my advice to see if you can get it in. See if you can figure out how to get it into the bomb containment container without blowing yourself up. And what's funny is when the alarm starts to go off, I have seen. He was a senior officer, but he sure whizzed down his leg big time when that thing started going. He knew he was going to die. And this was just fun. This is back in the hippie days when you could do fun stuff like this and not really hurt anybody, It was kind of funny to watch all them fat people from the offices try to run down the stairs and out the door. That was good.
Okay.
Go ahead. Come on now. I got to have my entertainment, and TV got boring, so I made something.
Sounds like fun. I mean, it sounds funny. Okay.
And again, the real fun part, they can't prove any of it, and they never caught me. I got away with it.
Alrighty then. Okay. All right. Can you give a more detailed answer as to what will religion and spirituality look like after the transition?
If you can imagine having a set of blue jeans that's really funky and all kind of stuff stuck on them and whatever, and running them through the washing machine, the difference will be between that messy, funky one and the clean one that comes out of the washing machine. In other words, all the horse hockey and claptrap and outright lies that have been perpetrated on the people for years. Oh, you got to spend 20 years on your knees to get an answer to a prayer. Bullshit. You have to kowtow to the way we say things are, or you don't get anywhere. Well, that society tries to tell you that, but the problem is very simple. Most of the religiosity doesn't exist. There was a meeting in Tehran, of all places, where they made all this shit up to include the Muslim religion, the Christian religion, all of it. And they set them all in opposites to each other. Opposition. Oh, you got to have some contests. Well, anyway, all of that stuff goes in the trash can. Now, this ain't me saying this. I have had direct conversations with the office holder, better known as Jesus Christ. It's not an individual. You think that? You're screwing up. It is an office. It's like Satan is an office, okay? I've had direct communications with JC, Muhammad, and a bunch of others. And guess what they have told me they're intending and planning to do? They're going to come down from the heavens, the second coming, watch out, and they're going to straighten up all these dinglebats that think that religiosity is cool. No, I didn't say that. I didn't intend for you to do. Would you quit it? It's going to be funny, I tell you. Well, when the Muslims are told to shut up, I don't want to hear all that. And why are you wearing those funny-looking outfits? you guys in the Catholic Church, what's with the penguins? I mean, there's a whole lot of things that just don't fit. So it's all going to be addressed. Now, it ain't me that's saying this shit. I want everybody to understand that. This comes from the mouth of the office holder of the office of Jesus Christ, or Satan, or Muhammad, whomever. It's not me saying this. I'm quoting what they told me. And right now they are giggling. They think it's going to be hilarious when all of this stuff comes unglued. Well, man, you got a big old place on a big brick pile on a corner. Is it good for anything other than telling people that you're going to hell, sinner? I mean, come on, give me a break.
There's no hell, yeah. Well, it's a great way to control people, and that's what was its main purpose.
And keep that collection plate full. Got to have it. Got to have it. Money.
Money and control. Okay.
Roadhouse. I remember the movie was Roadhouse, and Emmett and the bouncer were talking, and he said, "It ain't the money, you understand, but I got to charge you something, or these Presbyterians around here be praying for my ruination." And he thought about it and says, "Well, I'd be more than happy to pay you if it'd keep you in the good graces of the church." And the old man says, "Ain't it funny how money seems to do that very thing?"
Yeah, it's amazing what money can do, isn't it?
I mean, anyway.
That's why it doesn't exist on a lot of other planets, except here.
That's part of it. Now you're getting your community catch up. If you can't get something from somebody that is of universal value, it's not very valuable.
Yeah, that's true. How do the Pleiadians engage in spiritual practice of pursuits?
Well, the spiritual practice, they don't practice. Most of you ETs are not non-practitioners, meaning that you don't go through all of the and all that happy whatever. Well, most of the ETs know that there is a creator. They honor the creator. Now, the creator has set down certain things that we are supposed to try to accomplish. One of the main things with ET is non-interference, that they comply with pretty damn close. I mean, show me some evidence that they're even here. I mean, it's really difficult to prove. One of the reasons is that the Men in Black, secret space ops, and all that happy shit, they go to a wreck site and man, they take a shop vac and scoop up the sand along with all of the little fragments. They make sure there is nothing there that you can use as proof. Part of that is ET. That's the way they wanted it. And in order for the military to benefit from ET technology, where they can stun somebody without killing them, that is an example, then they comply. Real simple. It's not complicated. And most people wouldn't understand what they got anyway. Well, you think about this. I know of one race of beings, and it's not the Pleiadians, that has been around 10 billion years. And at about 1 billion years, when they were getting going at the very beginning, they were about like we are right now. Ooh, think about how far they might have got in that other 9 billion years. Now, I will suggest that they are far enough ahead of us that they could wipe us out like some people wipe out cockroaches or something. So, when you're that advanced, you don't have a need to interfere. You don't have a need to screw with people, although some of them have. And there's pirates that still believe they should go out and take things from people. And the pirates are dealt with on a regular basis. But the main thing is that people have to understand that the human race in our advanced state has only been around maybe 100 years. And that's being generous on the long side. These things have been technically advanced for hundreds of thousands of years at minimum. But you're not going to screw with somebody that is that advanced.
Right.
Just, not unless you
If you take away the need for money to survive, or the apparent desire for power or whatever, if you take those things away because all your needs are met, then they make a tremendous difference.
Yeah. Agreed. The difference between need and greed. You need to eat. You need water you need some water. Now I'm going to tell everybody one thing. I smoke. And guess what? I asked specifically, what is ET's take on tobacco? Well, very simply, most of them won't let you bring that stuff on their ship. A lot of the planets have outlawed it. So tobacco's gone. Think about that very carefully. I don't know.
That would go for cannabis, right? I suppose that would go for cannabis too, then, right?
No, that is considered a health situation. Something that is something. Cannabis so far has been found to have at least 18 general, and I'm going to use this term loosely, elixirs that address things like epileptic fits or other incongruities in our health. Okay, specifically, directly. One little girl has been on our YouTube page, or excuse me, it's not YouTube, our Facebook page. She had grand mal seizures, whatever that is, the ones that can kill you. She was having those. They gave her a derivative. And this was as soon as she got over this one seizure, let's say. And as soon as she got over that one seizure and took this stuff, they put it in iced tea, a glass of iced tea. She drank it down. She hadn't had any, she gets this regularly now. She hadn't had any symptoms even since.
Yeah. Well, we have CBD receptor sites in our body, so why do we have them if we weren't meant to actually ingest, inhale, or whatever?
You gotta look what God says about the herb of the field. He put it there for our use. It's like alcohol. Take a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine oft-time infirmities. That don't mean you're supposed to try to swim to the bottom of a 50-gallon drum. It means that you get some shots of alcohol. It helps you.
So. Yeah, that's a big issue, and the reason that it was made illegal many years ago was based on propaganda once again and a bunch of lies.
Nope, it was based on opium dens. They figured that it was the same sort of thing as opium, and it wasn't.
What they did was, though, they went around, it was DuPont, it was Hearst, and I think, I'm not positive on this one, but the third one I think was Rockefeller. But they were all in. They wanted to corner the market that hemp would have been able to been a multi-billion-dollar industry. And Henry Ford had even built a car that was made totally out of hemp.
I know, but the thing is, it's not a question of that. Okay, you can't corner a market when something grows free in your front yard. If you live in the woods, for instance.
Well, they made it illegal, so nobody else. So not only could you not grow the medical cannabis,
they made it illegal for only two reasons. Two reasons only. Well, it was going to put the medical profession out of business, and there was no way that they could control it. Those are the only two reasons. None of the money and all the other stuff makes a difference. Now, what is making a difference today is the 18 to 20 derivatives that they found that address very specific medical problems that a lot of people have. They're beginning to prescribe it for veterans who are in constant pain. Well, I have decided in my illustrious wisdom not to be screwed up by smoking a doob all the time and put up with a little bit of pain, and it's no big deal. But you
can get it without the THC if that's the issue for some people. But that's also been shown to kill cancer. So there's so much that was held back when they made that all legal. And if you actually look at the medical profession and the prescription deaths as a result of different prescribed drugs directly by them,
Yeah.
they actually are responsible for more deaths than the wars.
Well, my situation, my take on that's very simple. If somebody knowingly prescribes drugs that's going to kill people, then that person should be adjudicated. The one that's the combination of the one that's making it, the one that's warehousing, and the one that's selling it. They have begun taking people to jail over that shit. Ohio just got, I think it was several $100 million over something of that nature. Well, or Pennsylvania, somewhere along there. And what the thing is that these little fines don't mean anything. Without the caveat, without the strict instructions that here's how it is. You ever do that again, we're going to bring paint chains and padlocks and close you down. Everybody that works there goes to jail. I mean, it's going to get really funky. I mean, they've taken a couple of CEOs and one of the transportation wizards to jail recently over this. So it's happening.
Okay. Do other people share their planets with different beings?
Do other people share the planet with what?
With different beings.
Yeah, there we got probably, I'd say 1,500 different races on the planet at any given time. Some of these are known and some of them aren't. Some of them are friends and some are not exactly friendly. It varies. But yeah, there's, figure 1,500 races. They look human, you can't tell the difference.
Okay, here's one. We're jumping around on different questions. When we pray, who do we pray to?
Well, I would pray to the Creator personally, because the Creator is the one that put it all together. Now, here's the deal. The Creator, in order to be the Creator, had to step outside of the tree of life. What that does is that leaves a council. There's between 3 and 5 of them that are the ones that put together a certain amount of soul life, a certain amount of spiritual life, and stick it in terms of the baby. All right? And you become, and when when God breathes the breath of life into a person's nostrils, becomes a living being. Well, a lot of people have been taking that stuff out of context, irrespective. The gist of it is that in terms of understanding what you're praying to, well, let's put it this way. You should pray to yourself. And you're going to go, huh? Well,
I was wondering if you were going to say that.
Yeah, okay, well, you think about it and pray to me. Oh, I mean, hoo-hoo, am I boogie? I'm the man. Well, a lot of people don't understand the capable powers of man. Human beings are the kind of entities that can determine the future, even change the past now without screwing things up, and then taking it a step further, decide what the situation is going to be for your day, your week, your life, the world. Okay, and these things go to the 2 rules. If you're greatly superior, you don't interfere. Non-interferal. In other words, we're not, until we're ready, and I'm talking about getting into 4D, till we're right at the transition, you ain't going to see a replicator of theirs. However, second one is, do no harm. Okay? Does it harm a person to have them starve? It does. Consequently, guess who gets the replicator first? Real simple. Those who have the greatest need for whatever it may be.
There were some questions here about replicators that you just answered, so that's okay. how can rank or position be the only incentive as opposed to money when there are only so many positions the higher you go?
You're going to find that idea is just as invalid as the food pyramid. In other words, take the food pyramid and turn it upside down, it begins to make sense. Do the same with the social hierarchy, and you'll find the same thing is actually true. All of a sudden, we get this huge crop of millionaires and billionaires, and how'd that happen if there's only very few? It's not the way it works. Well, your responsibilities and the number of people you are responsible for increases, doesn't decrease. And as you access success in whatever you're doing, then you start inuring to yourself, I don't know, nicer, larger quarters that you can do more things in, whatever. There's a variety of rewards. Maybe you'd like to go to the entertainment planet. Oh, you probably didn't know about that. It's out there, and it is loaded. You can actually pick a movie that you'd like to have been more involved with or a part of, and actually step into it. Ooh! Now you're being watched real close so that you don't hurt yourself or somebody else. But I mean, what's the limitation? Think about somebody that's a million years in advance of us. How far do you think their TV sets go? They probably kiss you on the cheek when you leave for the day. It's just, what is the limit? Well, I don't know, to be honest with you. I know that they don't harm anybody. They don't let you harm anybody. And they will figure out what it is that makes you get all giggly and fun, and they'll do a whole bunch of that for you.
Well, as we as humans are actually far more capable and powerful than we realize, because we have been dumbed down, programmed, a lot of things that have inhibited our true abilities, and we come to believe that. Which is
I'd like you to believe in the limitations rather than having the unlimited imagination you had when you was a kid.
Yeah, and you're usually scolded for that or something like that because you're not paying attention in class or what have you. So, the very thing that creates your power is being suppressed. But people can get it back. Once they get the hang of it, they'll...
It's a lot easier than you think.
But that's when the classes come in handy, because you don't want to be blowing something up accidentally.
Like you don't want to blow up the neighbor's cat.
Okay, here's one. Who or what is the black sun being thing that Benjamin Fulford claims is being worshipped by some of the dark cabal?
The which kind of being?
It's called Who or What is the Black Sun Being?
Oh, black sun being. Okay, that's the antithesis to existence. The opposite, the shadow. And a lot of people worship that on the satanic side. While they're busy ruining the lives of kids, they're practicing this that was a good one. Thank you, all that. The gist of it is that that's going to be wiped out in a very near future. And any of the beings that decide they want to get mouthy and object, bye-bye.
Is Mark Taylor, the firefighter prophet, legit?
About half, a little more maybe.
Who's he getting his info from?
What? Huh?
Where's he getting his info from?
Well, that's what I was going to suggest here. A lot of these dummies out there think that they can channel information. Can't channel. It's not accepted as being any kind of accurate or anything else. Okay, number two. If you can imagine it, you can create it or cause it to be. Every individual is capable of that. In terms of getting information, it depends on who it is you're talking to, and do you know? Do you have the knowledge necessary to validate a timeline, somebody that says they're talking to you, etc. This is the trick. If you know how to do that, then you can determine before you get your self out there looking like a fool, you can determine what it is, whether it's real, whether it's valid, and all that stuff. And that's how that works.
So people should be practicing their creative imagination.
Within limitations, yes.
Well, they're already limited, let's face it.
Oh, no. Once you break free from the horse hockey, okay, then be careful about what you wish for. Be careful about how you go about it. There are a whole load of rules. When you get in touch with your higher self, you're going to have a long conversation about what the rules are. Believe me. And those rules are not something you can fool with. But what it does is it protects you and existence in general from being screwed up by some, I don't know, squirrely teenager who thinks that having a joyride around the universe is cool. Hey, man, hold my beer and watch this. You know, that sort of stuff doesn't fly.
I got a question for you. Okay, when you say you get in touch with your higher self, and people say that all the time, who is that higher self? Is
that's your spirit?
Creator, your spirit, or your spirit that's connected to the Creator? What?
No, it's your spirit. Okay. Body, soul, spirit, three-part being. The book got that right. Okay. The body, that's you. That's the physical you, okay? Soul is soul life, the animator and character of you. Still me. Now I want to bust out. I want to break loose. I want to find out what God knows. And I can't seem to get an answer, so I need to put that third part in place. What you do is you learn how to connect your physical, okay, and your soul, or animating energy. You learn to connect those two, or you want to be able to walk. You have real serious problems with general functionality if those are out of whack. And if you're decent at it, in other words, you're not all screwed up on just those two, okay, then you're in a position to access and reconnect with your spiritual. You have to do several things. 1, learn how to meditate. 2, learn how to align your chakras and balance the energies found therein. 3, acknowledge and understand the usage of Kundalini. Oh boy, you're getting a bunch of goodies. And then 4th, you need to make sure of one thing, that you connect as often as possible, as continually as possible. All the time is great if you can do it.
Are you going to teach people how to do that?
Huh?
Are you going to help teach people how to do that?
No, I can send you a book that you can put on your website if you want.
The Me, Myself, and I book, or a different one?
Yeah, I got, let's see here.
I have the Me, Myself, and I one, and I've sent it to quite a number of people already.
Okay, well, I got a friggin' list somewhere here. You know what happened to it. Let's see, final days. Oh, here we go. You have what you're going to end up with. Me, Myself, and I, book 1. Me, Myself, and I, book 2.
Oh, okay. We're ready for book. A lot of people are ready for book 2, I think.
Hold on a minute. Me, Myself, and I, book 3.
Oh, there's 3 of them. Wow. Okay.
Well, I ain't done yet.
Oh, there's more.
Hold on, just relax. I know you're getting excited, and it's not Christmas time. You don't have to be begging like homeless people. Number 4, Sanctuary. And number 5, the Phoenix Complex.
The Phoenix Complex, is that what you said?
Phoenix Complex, yes. The earliest starts in 13 and the latest stops in 15. So those are the years.
So are you, so people just read the books, or are you going to?
No, a lot of people misunderstand that shit.
you're going to
There's a whole bunch of people out there going to have a real serious problem getting past book 1.
I know. I had to read it more than one time.
Well, that's just a simple recipe. Anybody who cooks has dealt with recipes. Well, there's a recipe. That's what that is, and it says so. Book 2 teaches you how to be a chef with that little bitty recipe. Book 3 puts the icing on that chef's cake. Book 4, which is Sanctuary, teaches you how to be the heaviest duty sanctimonious thing you ever saw in your life. Now, Sanctuary, you know what a sanctuary city is, okay? You can exempt yourself from all of the parameters of control that you've ever experienced in the whole of your life if you practice what's in Sanctuary. Then you have the Phoenix Complex. Everybody thinks they're going to be raised from the dead and I'm going to live forever and all this other whatever. Well, you can, but you got to know how to do it. And you have to have permission and a few other minor things. But I am going to write a synopsis for all 5 books, and I'm going to slowly post them all online. The interesting part about it is that everybody has to understand absolutely, without question, that you have differing takes within each of the first 3 books. They get you ready for the idea of having a true sanctuary. And by true sanctuary, I'm talking about something that can protect you with all the power of creation. That's a pretty big lightning bolt. Yeah, okay. And then the Phoenix Complex, if you don't know the story of David and the Phoenix, or a Phoenix bird, how it's supposed to happen and what it take place, you might want to read up on that, then read that, because it gives an aspect or a capable look at how that works, and how it doesn't come from me or the book, it comes from within you, inside. Ooh, remember, you look inside and you find everything you need.
That's cute.
Aladdin is giving you a set of keys. You got to figure out which padlock it fits.
Well, some people, even after reading it, might need a little additional direction.
Keep reading it until you understand it. If you get past the first 3 books, then you're pretty much you should be at a point of no return where you don't have to worry about all the parameters of horse hockey teachings and explanations. You should have a whole load.
You have something, either me, myself, and I have book 1, and I have sent it to a number of people. I could include it on the description under the YouTube video, I believe. Or I could,
What's up to you? When I give something away, I give it away.
Okay. Well, send them my way, and so I can read them and know what they're about.
I'll do that. I think I got an email address for you around here. There it is. I see it right there.
Sometimes I forward questions to you that are more on the personal level than should be on a show. So I forward them.
Shamey. You get personal with me.
Okay, you want some more questions? Here's another question.
Okay.
What happened to all the apartment buildings and condos that they're not all dumpy and run down? Will there still be multi-dwellings like after the transition?
Yeah, there can be. There's a variety of things go into this. After the transition, there's going to be a large number of new kinds of building materials that are far superior and outlast anything we are familiar with. In other words, they don't have to insulate, and and the wall board's maybe I'd say a little over a 1/4 inch thick, and yet it insulates better than anything we've got in the way of insulation. It holds up better, okay, and lasts about 100 times as long. The exterior is given a special treatment in that the exterior of a building, no matter what it is, has the capability of supporting, we call them solar panels. They call them energy collectors. Big difference, because it doesn't just use one or two parts of the spectrum in terms of, red or blue light or whatever. It uses the whole spectrum, and the whole spectrum then charges your batteries, make sure your replicator's ready to go, and or however all that works. So, it's going to be different, but not to the extent that it's scary.
Sometimes it seems like people need more space. I mean, I don't like the idea of,
I'm not talking about a little cubicle inside a friggin' shipping container. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm talking about at all. But you're not going to need a kitchen, not with a replicator. You're not going to need a laundry and dryer, laundry with a replicator. You're not going to need fridges and all this other heavy. You don't need that stuff. The replicator will do it for you 99% of the time. Now, you also, if you don't need a closet, that's extra space that you're not really going to be using, okay? So forget a closet. Forget the clothes in the closet. Why? Well, you program into the replicator what you want another one of, and when you hit the spit it out button, you get a brand new T-shirt. Not something that's been laundered and used, brand new. There's a big difference between, everybody knows, between brand new, something that's been laundered, okay?
What do you do with the one that you just wore or whatever? Is it just incinerated or what?
What's that?
Okay, so if you can get something new to wear every day, for example, replicator, then what do you do with the stuff you wore that day?
Stick it in the replicator and hit recycle.
Oh, okay.
I mean, anything you can think of. Now, I can't think of anything that's not going to be affected. There's going to be a whole bunch of things that are going to be different in terms of lifestyles and things of this nature. Now, if you don't have all this unused additional space, that does not mean that you're not going to have a 1,500 square foot apartment or 2,000 square foot apartment to live in. Something nice and big and spacious. What it means is that you don't need a whole lot of additional space. And I want you to understand something. People are familiar with cable and they're familiar with satellite TV. Imagine if the number of entertainments that'd be sliced up into channels and movies and all that. Think about if that was, say you got 50 channels. Put an exponent out there equal to the number of channels you already got. So what's 50 times itself 50 times? Ooh. See what? Now you tell me you can't find something on TV after that. I'm gonna say that you're too stupid to hit the clicker. Hello. Well, it's like that little thing comes across the phone when something is screwed up. It goes, nee, 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 nee. You're too stupid to operate the phone. When you learn how, call back again. All the phones tell you that. It's not. It gets.
There's got to be more entertainment than sitting in front of a TV, even if it got 10 million channels to choose from. There's got to be more.
And life is really entertaining. It really is. Have you noticed the time?
We started a little bit late, so probably.
Started at 3:41.
What time did you got by you? I've got 2:41. So we can probably do a couple more questions and then.
3:41 my time, and right now it's what, 5 something. So getting close to 2 hours is why I was mentioning it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Well, we'll just take one or two more questions and we'll talk. Is that all right with you?
Sock it to me.
Okay. Okay. What is the reality with Neil Keenan? Someone says he was killed and replaced by a clone.
That's
I
old
don't
news.
understand the disparity of intel. What is the purpose for lies?
Well, the person that says he got killed in replacement of the clone is full of horse hockey. Let's put it that way. I know Neil very well, and that never happened. And that comes from Neil Keenan himself. I talk to the man off and on. I'm part of his team, so you know.
Why do people say stuff like that? What's the purpose?
Well, it's simple. They have. It's like any kind of news flash that somebody throws on CNN or wherever when they don't vet it, when they don't check it out and find out. I get a lot of people putting postings on a Facebook page, Cosmic Voice, and a lot of them are a little bit squirrely. So I put validation with a question mark underneath it. Sometimes I hear back and it's all valid. Sometimes I never hear from them again until they get another news flash, of course. Then they'll slap that on there and go, "There you got it. We got it. Looky there." You know.
Okay. Well, I think that's.
Think it does it?
We've covered most of the. There might be a few other. Is Thomas Williams trustworthy or not?
I don't trust him. He backstabbed me after he was supposed to be helping me, and I really didn't appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons I don't have any dealings with the man anymore.
All right.
I said one of the reasons. It's more than that.
Okay. Oh, but okay. So that's clarified then. Well, I think that pretty much
Does it?
most everything. I mean, there are some other questions, but we could go on and on.
You're beginning to get off camera when you lean over like that, you know.
All righty. Well, let's call this a show, and we'll wrap it up, and we'll meet again next week. And I'd like to say thank you for listening, and keep those questions coming in. And thank you, Drake, for your time and wisdom. And
No problem. And there is one thing that I want to say. At the point that the collateral accounts are going to be released, I'm supposed to join Neil in the process of doing that. So I may be a little bit out of whack. Now, I'll try to contact you from wherever it is I'm staying over there. I don't know. I don't guarantee whether the time frames and stuff will fit or how that'll work, but we do plan to video everything, and I'm going to try to have a live feed of what's going on. Now, whether or not we want to out things to that extent or not, I don't know yet. So we'll have to wait and see how all that goes, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so if you weren't available or something like that, that would be the explanation. You would be with.
Maybe I'll get you on Skype and let you know.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for listening, and thank you, Drake. And we'll sign out until next week. Bye.
Gail of Gaia and Free Range need your support. The foundation of any channel engaged in disclosure is the support of the listening audience and the intel it receives. You will not find this kind of information on the lamestream media. We abhor censorship, and sponsors always have an agenda. Your donations, no matter how small, are especially needed and appreciated to keep this going.